My name is Adam Fine. I am currently the Superintendent of Schools for the East Hampton Union Free School District. I have been the Superintendent for East Hampton for the past year. Prior to that, I spent a year as the Assistant Superintendent, and prior to that, 10 years as the Principal of East Hampton High School. When I look back to the months of January and February specifically, I had heard rumblings of a pandemic. I had actually just been in an airport during the months of January, and I started observing people with masks on. I remember clear as day coming home to my wife saying that there were a number of people on the plane wearing masks, and I'm like, I can't believe how absurd this behavior is. I go, why would they wear masks? I go, whatever, they're gonna get sick. It's like the flu or whatnot. You know, I've been on airplanes hundreds of times. So that was my first initial reaction in those preliminary months of the pandemic. Started in the beginning of in March, each day there just kind of started to be more talk, more chatter regarding there's a pandemic coming, something's coming to the schools, it's getting bad. You're starting to hear about those cases, and day by day it built. The discussions at the district level with my boss at the time, the assistant superintendent, the superintendent, the Board of Education, started now focusing on what's going on. And then I would say probably towards the end of the first week of March, the first discussion of school closure started. And I think that's when everything really hit home, because we just didn't know what was going to happen. It was the fear of the unknown. We didn't even have remote instruction. All of our kids didn't even have electronic devices. We didn't even know what that type of instruction was going to look like pre-K through 12 when the kids were home. We were scrambling to put together some sort of academic program where teachers touched base with their students. We had to get meals out to the community. We were doing 200 meals a day for families because we were bound to give them school lunch and breakfast. And then we were home. So you had administrators home. I was running a school basically from my office upstairs. Maybe I was coming in one day a week to an empty building. It was almost like a wasteland of a school. Nobody wanted to get sick. Nobody wanted to see anybody die from it. So they definitely, I felt in this community, felt an air of like, let's err on the side of safety and medicine before anything else. And that theme carried all the way through the school year. The live stream was definitely a success and a failure. The challenges of live stream, kids not turning their cameras on, kids disappearing, kids and families going away on vacation and then tapping into the live stream. All of these became ongoing challenges. When teachers have a live stream in their class and they have half the kids at home and half the kids in person, it's totally different. It changed the way teachers taught during the year when we had half of our kids at home and half of them in person, grades 6 through 12. The mixed messages, even at the federal level, I think that was the most difficult thing. I went into this profession not only because I love the field of education, children and whatnot, but because I love leadership. I love making decisions. I work really hard to make those difficult decisions. I felt our leaders did not make those decisions. That to me was the biggest frustration, and I wish the community understood that we're trying to educate children the best we can do, and there's all this other noise out there. So grades 6 through 12 came back at a hybrid model because the messages we were getting from the state were so convoluted, and at the time it was separate students by 6 feet. We couldn't in this building and the middle school get all the kids in. The elementary school was a different story. We did a lot of measuring at the elementary. Those kids were going to go full-time to school, and they did. There were external entrances at every one of the classrooms. They ate in their classrooms. Cafeteria was repurposed into classrooms. The library was repurposed into classrooms. The preschool came in half days. Ultimately, the state was starting to pull back things to almost 3 feet. And then I think towards the end of the year, we were able to get the majority of our kids in. Kids need routines and stability. And when we had the pandemic and when we were out of school full-time, then the kids were in school half-time, the kids were masked, didn't know how to deal with that. I think that impact changed everything. I mean, the number of disciplinary referrals at the high school this year and the middle school were up exponentially in the beginning of this year because kids had lost certain norms. We all talk about academics and learning, but there are other things in the social emotional well-being of our kids. There's changing classes, there's talking to each other, there's discussions that take place that educators don't know about, students working with other students. You take this stuff for granted, but that impact has significantly changed, the way, kids have learned this year and struggled. A number of our Spanish-speaking households who had English-speaking kids, we had to make an extra effort to educate those parents and provide them with information, because that information that was getting to those parents by the English-speaking child was not the information that was disseminated. So there were kids might be hybrid. So, for example, a high school kid who doesn't come to school on Monday and Tuesday because they're hybrid, but they have to log in all day. Some of the messages that were delivered to certain parents were, I don't have to log in that day. So we had felt to a certain level, certain parents were bamboozled. So we really made an extra effort to do a little extra outreach by our Spanish-speaking community liaison, our Spanish-speaking staff. That was definitely one big thing we saw. Yes, so I just recently got COVID. I was very lucky, one of the blessed few to get the Omicron variant. So I did get a little sick towards the end of 2021, and I get it. I mean, I'm a healthy person. It impacted me. It sidelined me for around 9-10 days. I have 3 vaccination shots. I had my booster in October, but I got it, and I think I'm very lucky that I had that vaccination shot, because I think it could have been worse for me. Resiliency. Being resilient, and how we have to continue as educators to teach kids to deal with challenges, obstacles they face on a daily basis. I love difficult challenges and want to be able to try to solve those problems. So a piece of me was like kind of excited to deal with this and what we can do. But at this point now, like 2 years into it, I'm done with that. The euphoria has died out. I want it to be over. I want people to be healthy. I want kids to not have to worry about this. I want kids at some point not to wear masks. I'd like to see all that.